Hey everyone, Leo with Dreaming Tree, and welcome to the assembly video for our Gnome ornament. Now these are very popular. They have been for quite some time. And well, it's almost kind of like a Santa-ish gnome. And I think this one's probably the easiest of the four in the set. So I have all of my pieces cut out, as should you. This is the main structure here. And we've done it in a way that makes it a little bit easier on you. So you want to go ahead and before you get started, take and fold everything at the score lines. Now I've also added a little bit of inking to, well, this is a white glitter. This is like a POW glitter. And sometimes when you're working with this type of glitter, you may need to, what I discovered was using a chalk-based ink is actually a little bit better than dye-based inks on this type of material, this type of paper. It actually just shows up a lot better, okay? And I'm just gonna show you real quick kind of what I did. I'm taking, this is a felt applicator. This is what I typically almost exclusively use to apply my ink. I'll just dab it, get a good amount of ink on there, and just very quickly, just kind of brush it on in a pretty quick little movement. I don't want it to look very subtle and soft, so I'm not overdoing it. And I'm just hitting the edges. I'm not overly concerned about getting every little single strand of hair. You can drive yourself nuts doing that, and ultimately, just a little bit here and there will work. It's almost like you're giving yourself highlights. Like when you go get highlights, you don't just put highlights on every single part of your hair. You just do it here and there. And it's that two-tone sort of contrast that makes it pretty. Okay, so I just noticed that when I went to assemble this, it wasn't as deep as I had hoped as far as the color goes. So I'm just kind of running my applicator across this again one more time to make it a little bit deeper, get a nice contrast out of there. But anyway, back to this piece here. We're going to start with this piece, and you'll notice that on one side, on one of these tabs, there's a little G cut into it. Okay, G stands for glue in this case, and we're literally going to put glue on this tab. Okay, so let's do that. This is just a tab. It looks like it might be, part of it, something that you would actually see from the exterior, but it's not. It's actually a tab. So I'm going to spread that glue out to the very edge of the tab, and we're going to tuck it in behind this section here and get that as lined up as you can. Get it as accurately lined up as you can. And up here towards the tip, grab yourself a dowel, put it up along that crease there, and then you can push down up against the dowel. It's like you got a really skinny finger up there, and that just really helps get this in place nicely. Okay, so there we go. That's nice. And that's all we really have to do. There's also, on this piece, you'll notice that there are some score marks. So little indicators to help you with the positioning of the next piece. Okay, there's a little F on the front. That stands for front, obviously. Okay, now this is his hat. Okay, and that is, well, you'll notice that we have score marks here. So we definitely want to fold everything at the score marks. Now this section here, the score mark does not go all the way down. So be sure to not fold it all the way down. I'm going to fold it up to the score mark, and that's it. Okay, and I'll show you what we do after that. But the rest of these sections, you definitely want to score, or fold, I should say. They're already scored. And here's another little section where the score lines only go up to about here. Okay, and similar to what we just did in the previous step, there's a little G here. That's a tab. We're going to use that to glue this down. And the idea with this piece here is that his hat kind of comes up this way. So we're going to take and we're going to curl that up. Okay, now we don't need to worry about exactly how far up we need to curl it. We just need to give it a little bit of a bend like that. Okay, and then we have another piece that's going to go on top of that, and that will help us to help it determine how it needs to bend ultimately. I'll show you what I mean here in a moment. But in the meantime, we're going to take our glue, and just like we did with the red piece, we're going to take and put our glue on the little tab with the letter G on it. So let's do that, just like we did with the red piece. Red. Okay. And we'll pull that glue out to the very edge of the tab. And we'll take that, tuck it behind this section here, line it up as accurately as you can. And with this one here, I don't know if you're going to need to get that dowel, but if you do, that's okay. Maybe grab a skinnier one this time and pop it in there. You can actually pop it all the way through and then just press up against that dowel and right at that edge. So before we do that, we're actually going to get the hands in place. So we've got the hands here. You can see the thumbs are going to be towards the inside of the body, and we have little overlays to make his little hands green. So let's get those in place before we glue the hands into place. Okay, so pop that right on there, like so. You can press that down. Now you can see that there's a little score mark here. Okay, and that's what this little tab is, what we're going to use to affix this to the inside here. We're going to slide it right through this little slit like that. And we're going to glue that slit to the inside. Let's get the other little glove on first, and then I'll show you how that works in just a second here. Okay, we'll get this other glove in place. He's got to keep his hands nice and toasty. There we go. Okay. All right, so again, the F is the front, and the thumbs should be close to the body. And we're going to pop that in like so. And you can see the little tab sticking through there. See if you can see it, yeah. Well, we're going to put glue on the tab, just a little bit, you don't need a lot. And then we're going to fold it over onto the inside. Try to get it nice and centered right there, so it's just sticking out like that. You can actually fold it over so the tab is inside and the hand is flat up against the outside like that. Okay, so there's this little hand, and you can see the little tab glued there. Let me grab my flashlight so you can actually see it better. I want you to be able to see that. Okay, there you can see the tab glued against the inside of this piece. I'll do the same thing on this side here. We'll slide it through the slit. Okay. And then we fold this over. It's kind of loose. We didn't want to make it too tight. Okay, so let me just show you the tab in here. You can see that tab there. We're actually going to put glue right on that surface. Okay, and then I'm going to take that tab and move it over, press it up against the inside like that. Okay, it's just easier if I do it from this angle. I can feel it in there. Make sure you get it nice and centered, and again, you can fold this over so you can literally just squeeze right there, and I'll show you the inside here in just 1 second. Okay, there we go. And I had a little bit of glue seep out there. Just rub that off with a little craft knife, X-Acto blade, whatever you want to call it. Here we go. Not a big deal. All right, let's take a look at the tabs inside. Where's my light? There it is. Okay. You can see the tab there, and then you can see the tab there. Okay. So the hands are in place. Next, we're going to work on his, his face and such. And we've got 3 different sections here. These 2 we'll do last, but we need this long section first. Okay, and this, you can see that we have little score marks here. These little score marks right up at the front here, those are for this. Okay, this flat edge right here is what you need to line this up with, and you need to just kind of move the little hands out of the way, and then the score marks actually go all the way around to help you. Now when we get to the back, we want to get this side down first, and this little half piece is going to go over this. Okay, so that's kind of what we need to do at this point. I'm going to start off by gluing just the center of this. Now also, one thing that you don't want to do is you don't want to glue the tail or the ends of his hair down. You want to train them and give them a little bit of life, curl them a bit. We want to give our cute little gnome, a little bit of dimension. And you just take that, pinch the tips of this between your finger and a dowel, and then curl it, just like you're curling your hair. Okay. And just do that all the way around. And that will also help you remember not to put any glue on those sections. We just want to focus our glue on the main part of this here. Okay, so I'm going to put glue right there, and I'm going to put a little bit right up at the top. And we can just do this in one little section at a time so we don't goof anything up. Again, right where the letter F is, there's a set of little score marks, and you want to bring this all the way up to that score mark. Now what also helps is folding it over just to make sure that it sits flat on the adjacent sections. And just hold that down for a moment while it sets. Okay, and I'm going to continue holding that down. And as I mentioned, this piece is going to go on last. So we're going to start on this section here, can fold this over, and let's get glue on the body of this section here. And then just fold that over onto that section. Watch the little hands, make sure they are where they need to be. Just like that. It's very simple. This one is very simple. Okay, I'm going to keep holding that down. I'll bring this one over, apply my glue to that section there, fold that over. There we go. And that meets up perfectly. And let's go here, throw our glue on that piece there, fold that over. It's pretty much meeting up with the little score marks there, as you can see. That's really nice. Okay, and then we can go over to the other side now. Just kind of peel that back a little bit. Throw some glue right on that section, fold it over. You can stick your finger inside, bring that glove in. Okay, next section here. And we can just do this one too. I think we're at that point now, feeling pretty confident. Follow those little score marks. It should naturally just kind of fall into place at this point. Okay, and then this last little section, we're just going to get a little bit of glue right up here, right about there, and fold that over. Okay, you can actually take and fold that back a bit too. All right, so there you have that. That looks cute. Okay, now you know what? I guess I'm kind of bouncing around here, but that's okay. It's not going to change anything at all. We have this little piece here. The little scalloped sections are going to be facing up. Okay, so what we'll do is find somewhere in the center, maybe just these two or these two, it doesn't matter. And let's get our glue on these sections here. We'll just do two little scallops at a time. Okay, again, scallops are facing up. Start in the center here on the front. And press that down into place. Make sure it's nice and flush with the very bottom of this section. And you'll notice that there are some score marks there. Those score marks should sit right on top of the little creases of the structure. Okay, give those a little press. And then you can hold that with one finger, or a thumb and a finger, while you apply glue to the next section. And just like we did with the hair, we're just going to work our way around towards the back. Again, just making sure that this is nice and flush with the very bottom. And just continue rocking and rolling here. Let me take a look at this other side. Yeah, so before we go any further here, I'm going to go back to the front. You'll notice that this piece has a little tiny tab on it. Okay, we want to get that down first. The other end is going to go over that tab. So let's finish this side first, and then we'll go back to the side we started on. Okay, so press that down right onto the main structure. Make sure it's flush with the bottom, and press and hold. Okay. Going to continue on this side, since this is the side with the tab. A little bit of glue. Bring it over. Press it down, nice and flush with the bottom. I guess if you wanted to, you could technically do this bottom section first before you do the hair. I don't think the hair is really getting in the way, so not a big deal. Okay, last section here for this side. And we'll put a little bit of glue right on that little tiny tab there. You'll notice there's a tab there. And that's going to go on this section. But let's get this one down first. Again, nice and flush with the base. And then that little tiny tab, just press that down. Make sure it gets a grip. Everything's looking good. All right, now we can move over to the last two sections from the other half or the other side. And let's get these glued down. Just like that. Again, making sure it's flush with the bottom. And then while we're holding that down, take this last section, apply your glue, and it should terminate right on top of that tiny little tab there. Okay, and voila. Perfect. Okay, so we have most of this already assembled. Next, we're going to take this piece here, and this is going to go right on here. We're going to actually just give this a couple layers. Okay, so this is going to go right over the front, and just like we did before, I want to take and train these out to give his beard some nice dimension. Okay, and that is literally going to go right up to the very top of that previous layer, and we're going to put glue on just this section here. Just right there, that's it. Okay, we'll get the center, front and center, glued down first, and press and hold that for a moment. Let that set. Now I'm going, this is glitter on glitter. So if you're doing the same thing, you're going to need to be patient here and let that really set before you move on. This glitter, yeah, see, it's not very porous. If you want, I don't normally do this, but I'm going to do it this time. Use some hot glue. If you're using glitter on glitter, it's one of the few times that I do recommend doing it, especially with this, because most of this is going to be hidden anyway, and we only need to use a little bit. Okay, so I'm going to fold this section back now, and we're just going to put glue on just this top section here. Right about there, should be fine. Get rid of those little wispies, match that up with the angle of the previous section. Okay. Here we go, and fold that back. And let's get our glue on here. Just like that. Okay, and we'll fold that over and press that down. Okay. All right, he's coming together now, looking good. And now one more thing here, we have his little mustache. And just like we did before, we're going to curl that, give that a little bit of dimension. And right here, you can actually see a series of little score marks, and that is to help you with the placement of this piece here. Okay, so that's going to go right there, right onto those little score marks, and I'm going to just use a tiny little bead of hot glue, thin that out, twirl it around, and that is going to go right there. Make sure you get it nice and centered. just like that. Okay. And we do have a little piece here for the nose. And for the eyeballs, we're actually just going to use some, what are we going to use? We're going to use some tiny little rhinestones. I'm going to use the traditional glue for this little piece for the nose. And that's going to go right there. You can see how there's like a little round section right there, just like that. Press that into place. Okay, so remember the eyes, I've got some tiny little rhinestones for that. And now all it's left to do is get our hat in place. Now remember, we've got a flat section and we have one little section that's just kind of round. That's going to go on like this. Okay, I'm going to bring this down until it won't go any further. You'll kind of see the other color poking through here. And just bring that down as far as it'll go, just like that. Now obviously you want to throw some glue on there. I'm going to put glue just up here towards the top. I don't want any of it kind of seeping out, and the friction that is created by just kind of shoving it on there is pretty much holding it in place anyway. So that's all we really need to worry about. Bring that down as far as it'll go. Now because my, I've got layers of, what's it called, glitter there, so it won't go down all the way, but that is fine. That is just fine. And then once we have that in place, now this is where we want to take and just kind of curl this up a little bit for now. Bring it up, don't rip it. We do want to bring this up a tad. Try not to crease it too much. Okay, and this is where this piece is going to go. Now find the little score marks on here, and you want to fold everything at the score marks. Okay, we have a couple scores there. We've got a score here, and then there's a tiny little tab there. And the way this is going to work is we're going to glue this down here. We're going to start in the center, and then we're going to work our way over here, and we do have to kind of give this a curve to match it up. Okay, it's not difficult. It's just a little different. There's been, in this bundle so far, we've done a few things that we've never really done before as far as, you know, how things kind of go together, which is fun. It's exciting to have some new things to do. So I just put glue on this little section here, and we're going to pop that right into place. Right in the center. You want that to be flush with the very bottom. You want it sitting right on top of that. Oops. Here we go. And again, I've got this glitter on cardstock. I'm going to press and hold that down until I'm completely sure that it's not going anywhere, because this next part is going to be a little bit, different than what we're used to. But that's going to work out very nice. Okay, so while I'm continuing to hold that, I'm going to put glue on this entire little V shape. Okay, so let's do that. And I also want to make sure that I get good coverage throughout. So I'm going to take my finger and kind of spread that out nice and thin. And that's also to prevent it from seeping out onto the green part of the hat. Okay. And we're just going to simply start right here, get that glued on, and then match it up with the very tip of his little hat. Make sure you try to keep everything nice and flush. Okay, and then bring it back and press down there as well. And there we go. And that actually worked out nicely. Okay, continue to apply that downward force. You can pinch down here, but here you got to kind of push down, and there you go. Okay, so that wasn't bad at all. And then we can finish it up here on this side, putting glue on this little section. Spread that out nice and thin, and then pop that over onto the hat. And then you have this little tiny tab that's going to go on the back of his head, on the hat section of his head, I should say. Okay, and just continue holding that down. Make sure everything is making good contact. There we go. Interesting. Been doing a lot of shaping with paper today. Making a lot of round shapes where normally you would think that'd be difficult to do, but we're doing it. Okay, so that leaves this section here. So again, we're going to put glue on this entire little V shape. Okay, I'm going to thin that out, spread it around. There we go. And same thing here. Just line that up with the very edge of the hat up to the tip, and then off to the side here as well. You can kind of bring that up and squeeze right there. And there you go. Not bad at all. Who would have thought? That is definitely some wonderful engineering and design work by the Dreaming Tree team. Okay, so we've just got this little section here now. Make sure that you get some glue out to the very edge of that, and then just fold it over onto the previous seam. And just hold that in place for a few moments. And that's really it. Now, if you don't have tiny little black rhinestones, you can always just grab a marker or even a pencil and draw his eyes in. Now, what we're going to do, I'm going to put actually a pom-pom on the top. And then to hang it, you just wrap the string around the pom-pom. I can kind of show you what that looks like. So you can see the little pom-pom there, and then the string is just wrapped around it. So not difficult at all, and that actually turned out wonderful. Okay, so I guess, you know, while I have you here, let me grab my pick-me-up tool and find my little eyeballs. Gotta find my black ones. There they are. Okay, so this is a very handy little tool. And let me find my glue. This is gonna go bye-bye anyway. Just throw a little dot of glue on there and just kind of dab that into the glue, thin it out. Okay, and I can put this down flat. And where is my, I can use some tweezers, that's fine. And just right above the nose, nice and centered. Press that eyeball down into place. It's a little bit high. It's not dry yet, so I can move it around a little bit. Get it exactly where I want it. Stick my finger in there and then give it a good push. And that should do it. Okay, or you can do it this way too. You can put a little bit of glue exactly where you want it, like that. And then I can actually just do this with my finger and just pop it into place. I've done it both ways. Whatever feels most comfortable for you. Okay, so there's his cute little eyeballs. And that's really it for that. Again, I'm gonna hot glue the pom-pom to the top. Then we'll just tie the string around there. And that's how we're gonna hang it. Grab my tiny little pom-pom. Pop that right into place. Very cute. There we go. And I'll just finish this off by just adding some bling to the bottom here. I've got a series of, actually let me see here. Oh, you know what? I'm also going to take and affix some little red rhinestones to his hat, as well as some green rhinestones to the bottom here. As far as adding some string on here to actually be able to hang it, you can take some and just kind of loop it around. Okay, and then you can tie it down at the bottom so that stays in place. And then we'll just tie it again up at the top once we determine how long we want it to be. Get that out of there. Okay, so just kind of tying a knot there. And then you can bring the string up, figure out how long you want it, like that. I'll just trim that just about here, give myself a little extra slack. You can decide how long you want it. later on. Not a big deal right now, but I just wanted to show you how to hang it. Okay, so there you have that. That's wonderful. And then, as I mentioned again, I'm going to put some rhinestones on the hat as well as along this little panel at the bottom, and that's really it for this one, guys. So it's really cute, really quick, and I think it turned out really cool and whimsical. So hope you guys enjoy it. Speaking of that, if you do enjoy this video and our other videos, make sure you visit our YouTube channel and hit that subscribe button. There's also a little bell that you can click on, which will give you notifications, so you can be the first to see any of our videos, assembly or trailers or any other videos we release. And if you make this or anything from our new bundle, I would love to see it, and so would over 33,000 other dreamers that inspire us daily. So head over to your Facebook and do a search for Dreaming Tree Group, or you can type in this little URL that you see here at the bottom of your screen. So anyway, happy gnome making, happy ornament making, and I will see you at the next video.